Good evening, dear listeners, and a very warm welcome to you all. Wherever you are tuning in from tonight, maybe cozied up in bed, listening from your favourite quiet corner at home, or perhaps relaxing somewhere peaceful with the world fading away outside. I'm so glad you've joined me here. Take a slow, deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. Maybe pull the covers up a bit higher and feel the day gently slip away. Let the story begin. Mayfair's most elegant townhouse was the perfect stage for tragedy. Crystal chandeliers sparkled, silk gowns rustled, champagne corks popped. Then Sir Reginald Hawthorne was found dead in his study, a single crimson glove lying beside his body. The police called it a simple heart attack, but Hercule Poirot saw something else entirely. A perfectly rehearsed performance. Someone in this glittering theatre of wealth was playing the most dangerous role of all, the role of the innocent, the role of the murderer. The curtain rises. Chapter 1. The stage is set. Mayfair's grandest townhouse was the perfect stage for tragedy. The Hawthorne residence gleamed in Art Deco elegance, its marble facade catching the soft glow of London street lamps, like footlights on opening night. Inside, the drawing-room shimmered under crystal chandeliers that tinkled gently with every passing breeze. Expensive Chanel perfume drifted through the air, mingling with the rich smoke of Cuban cigars, the sweet scent of fresh hothouse lilies, and the warm leather aroma of overstuffed armchairs. Polished mahogany tables reflected the geometric patterns of light, while velvet curtains framed tall windows looking onto the cold terrace. It was a private dinner party of the highest society. Sir Reginald Hawthorne, wealthy financier and passionate art collector, had gathered his closest circle for an evening of dry champagne, crisp linen napkins, and carefully scripted conversation. Silk evening gowns rustled softly as ladies moved. The fire crackled warmly in the marble hearth, pushing back the chill night air that slipped in from outside. Distant piano music floated from another room, elegant and refined. Then the performance turned deadly. The butler found Sir Reginald slumped at his desk in the private study just 30 minutes after the host had retired for his usual brandy and cigar. A crystal glass lay overturned, dark brandy pooling across the blotter. Beside the lifeless hand rested a single crimson kid leather glove, one finger stained with the spilled spirit, and the study window stood slightly open to the terrace, letting in the faint smell of wood smoke from distant chimneys. Sir Reginald's face was twisted, lips faintly blue under the lamplight. "Heart attack, most likely," the first constable said, his footsteps echoing sharply on the parquet floor. The gentleman was getting on in years. But Hercule Poirot, summoned immediately by an old friend among the guests, saw a different drama entirely. You watch with Poirot, no? Observe how the actors assemble, even as the body still lies cooling nearby. The drawing-room had transformed into a second stage of shock and performed grief. Lady Amelia Hawthorne, once a celebrated actress of the West End, dabbed at her eyes with a delicate lace handkerchief. Her silk gown clung elegantly to her frame, cool and smooth. "My poor Reginald," she murmured, her voice breaking at precisely the right moment. The grandfather clock chimed the quarter hour, solemn and precise. Observe this performance carefully. Is it truth or theatre? The shoulders shake, yes, but watch the eyes. Where is the moisture? Poirot tilted his egg-shaped head, his green eyes gleaming with quiet satisfaction. He touched his magnificent moustache thoughtfully. "The performance, it is most affecting, madame," he said softly. Yet Hercule Poirot, he wonders. Mr. Gerald Hawthorne, the nephew, paced restlessly near the grand piano. His rough tweed jacket looked out of place among the elegance. He ran a hand through his hair, face pale in the chandelier's glow. Uncle was fine at dinner, laughing even. This cannot be. Too perfect, too rehearsed. Truth stumbles, lies flow smooth. Miss Clara Beaumont, Sir Reginald's private secretary, stood by the French windows. Her hands were clasped tightly, no kid gloves on her small fingers tonight. The cold terrace air brushed her cheeks as she stared into the darkness. I delivered important papers to him only an hour ago. He seemed perfectly well. Ask yourself, why does she avoid the inspector's eyes when she speaks of the study? Major Victor Lang, Sir Reginald's business partner, stood ramrod straight by the fireplace. The warmth of the fire touched his face, yet his expression remained composed. Damned shame! He was the best friend a man could have. His voice carried the bluff confidence of the parade ground. The smell of his sandalwood cologne cut through the room. The mask slips. Did you catch it? His hands remain perfectly steady while he speaks of sudden loss. A man truly shocked does not have steady hands. Dr. Julian Hart, the family physician, had briefly examined the body before returning to the drawing room. The rich aroma of strong continental coffee still lingered on his breath from the after-dinner tray. I had warned him about his heart, he said calmly. Digitalis was part of his daily regimen, but this appears quite natural. Consider the psychology. What role does this man need to play on this tragic night? Poirot moved among them like a master director, arranging his cast for the first scene. He smoothed an imaginary wrinkle from his sleeve with precise fingers. The leather-bound books on the shelves gleamed under soft lamplight. Fresh flowers in silver vases released their heavy perfume. Earlier, champagne corks had popped with festive sound. Now, only silence remained, broken only by the soft rustle of silk and the distant closing of doors. The stage was set. The actors had taken their places. Let the drama begin. Chapter 2. Enter the players. The players had entered the drawing room one by one, each taking their mark under the glittering chandelier. Poirot arranged the interviews as private scenes in the small morning room off the main hall. The air still carried the faint trace of last night's cigar smoke mixed with furniture wax. Polished mahogany reflected the cold morning light filtering through heavy velvet curtains. The grandfather clock chimed softly in the distance. Lady Amelia was called first. She swept in wearing a simple black silk day dress, the fabric whispering against the carpet. "I simply cannot believe it," she said, dabbing once more with her handkerchief. "We were so very happy together. Watch this performance carefully. Is it truth or theatre?" Poirot adjusted his moustache with precision. "Madame, the role of the grieving widow suits you remarkably well. Yet the little details, they speak volumes." Her eyes remained curiously dry. The mascara held perfectly in place. The warm drawing-room could not hide the chill in her delivery. Next came Mr. Gerald Hawthorne. He slumped into the chair, his rough tweed jacket scratching against the smooth upholstery. I adored my uncle. He was even going to change the will in my favour, you know. His laugh came too quickly, too nervous. The smell of strong coffee lingered as he shifted uncomfortably. The mask slips. Did you catch it? Greed performing as grief. Miss Clara Beaumont followed, her crisp linen blouse buttoned neatly to the throat. I was merely his secretary, loyal to the very end. Her alibi was delivered with clockwork precision, timed to the minute. She claimed to have left the study at exactly 9:15. Her small hands rested too still on the table. Too perfect. Truth does not rehearse. Major Victor Lang entered with his usual military stride. The scent of his sandalwood cologne filled the small room. Reginald and I were like brothers. Our business affairs were completely solid. His hands rested calmly on his knees throughout the questioning. Ask yourself, why does this loyal friend fail to mention the heated argument at dinner? Consider the psychology. What role does he need to play? Dr. Julian Hart was the last to be interviewed. He sipped hot coffee from a delicate porcelain cup, the warmth comforting against his fingers. I attended Sir Reginald regularly. The digitalis was prescribed correctly and taken as directed. His voice stayed measured, but his eyes flicked away from Poirot's gaze. The tension rises. Someone will break character soon. Poirot moved between these scenes with order and method, observing every missed cue and hesitant line. Footsteps echoed on the parquet floors as servants moved discreetly through the house. Gentle rain pattered against the windows, a soft counterpoint to the occasional crackling of the fire in the grate. The hothouse lilies drooped slightly, their heavy scent growing thicker in the enclosed space. Each player had delivered their opening lines with varying degrees of skill. Contradictions emerged like missed cues in a poorly rehearsed script. But Lady Amelia claimed complete ignorance of her husband's recent business troubles. Major Lang swore the partnership had never been stronger. Miss Clara insisted the study door had been firmly closed when she departed. You see, but you do not observe the performance. But you say, Poirot reads too much into small gestures. Bear with me. The drawing-room grew steadily warmer as the day advanced. The champagne of the previous evening had been replaced by strong, aromatic coffee. Silk rustled faintly as someone shifted in their seat. The players had entered. But who performed truth, and who performed lies? Chapter 3. The First Act. The first act unfolded with growing intensity in the wood-panelled library of the Hawthorne residence. Poirot had moved the key players there as the pale winter light filtered through heavy velvet curtains, warming the cold marble elements of the room. The air carried the lingering scent of strong continental coffee and faint wood smoke drifting from the terrace. Polished mahogany tables gleamed under soft lamplight, while fresh hothouse lilies released their heavy perfume. A mask slipped early. When Poirot placed the crimson kid glove on the table before her, Lady Amelia recoiled sharply. "Those gloves were mine," she said quickly. "I left them in the drawing-room yesterday evening. I never entered the study after dinner." Her voice trembled at exactly the right pitch, yet her hands remained perfectly steady on the smooth surface. "The mask slips. Did you catch it? Watch this performance carefully. Is it truth or theatre?" Poirot drew himself up to his full height, still modest but commanding. He touched his magnificent moustache thoughtfully. "Madame, the glove accuses no one yet, but the performance of sudden innocence, it requires careful practice, non? Director method, Lady Amelia, the performance. She weeps, yes. The handkerchief dabs at the eyes. The shoulders shake appropriately. The tell, but observe, the handkerchief remains quite dry. The mascara does not run at all. The performance of grief is technically perfect. Too perfect. The psychology. I am reminded of the Ackroyd affair, where a man performed shock so convincingly that even I, Hercule Poirot, was momentarily deceived. He had rehearsed in front of mirrors for hours, practicing the widening of the eyes and the dramatic dropping of the jaw at just the right moment. But he made one fatal error. When the news came, he reached for his cigarette case with hands that were far too steady. A man truly shocked does not possess such steady hands. The body, it knows the truth even when the face tells the most elegant lies. This is what the little grey cells understand, the psychology that hides beneath every polished performance. The truth. Therefore, this woman knew of the death before anyone told her. Her grief is mere costume, not genuine feeling. You see it now, no? The theatre begins to crumble. A second crack appeared moments later. When confronted with certain missing financial papers from Sir Reginald's desk, Major Victor Lang's bluff display of loyal friendship faltered for the briefest heartbeat. His sandalwood cologne suddenly seemed sharper in the warm room as his confident posture stiffened. The tension rises. Someone will break character soon. Poirot made an expressive gesture with his small hands. How the first act, it reveals much, but more masks remain to be tested. Reflection on human masks, in 278 words. In every crime, Poirot observes the eternal theatre of human nature at work. We all wear masks, greed performing as grief, loyalty masking deep resentment, calm hiding inner terror. Society itself demands these performances. The elegant dinner party, the respectable marriage, the trusted business partnership, all become stages where we carefully rehearse our daily lines. Why do humans wear them so diligently? Because the true face is often too fragile, too ugly, or simply too dangerous to reveal to the world. Expose the real self, and suddenly the carefully built image shatters, revealing the fear, the greed, or the hidden hate we have buried so carefully. In this particular drama, the crimson glove serves as more than mere evidence. It is a dropped prop, a single unguarded moment when one actor forgot their carefully memorized script. Humans wear masks because raw truth is dangerous. It would expose the secret affairs, the clever forgeries, and the quiet blackmail that quietly thread through even the most glittering Mayfair drawing rooms. Yet every mask eventually grows heavy with time. They slip, they crack under pressure, and when they finally fall away, the little grey cells sing with quiet satisfaction. The universal truth about deception is simple and unchanging. Every actor, no matter how skilled or experienced, eventually forgets their lines. The body always betrays what the trained voice tries desperately to deny. Watch closely, mon ami. You are becoming a careful observer alongside Poirot. The theatre of life has only one unbreakable rule: truth, and she always takes her final bow, whether the audience is ready or not. The first act concluded. Some masks had cracked. More would follow. Chapter 4. Rehearsed Lines. Rehearsed lines began to falter under Poirot's calm but relentless pressure in the elegant drawing room. The suspects gathered once more as pale afternoon light slanted through the tall windows, warming the cold marble mantelpiece and chasing away the chill from the terrace. The comforting aroma of fresh coffee rose from the silver tray, mingling with the faint scent of wood smoke and lingering sandalwood cologne. Polished mahogany reflected the geometric patterns of light, while crisp linen napkins lay neatly folded nearby. Major Victor Lang's alibi was tested first. I never left the dinner table that evening, he insisted, and but a faint tremor had now entered his usually confident military voice. His hands, once so steady, betrayed the smallest movement. The script was failing. Miss Clara Beaumont's precisely timed account crumbled when Poirot quietly noted that the study clock had been wound incorrectly on the night of the tragedy. "It was only a small error on my part," she said, yet her fingers twisted nervously in her lap against the smooth fabric of her skirt. The warm drawing room could not hide the growing tension. Too perfect. Truth does not rehearse." Gerald Hawthorne laughed again, the sound brittle and forced against the steady crackling of the fire in the marble hearth. "I was out on the terrace smoking alone, as I told you." The chill night air from earlier still seemed to cling to the rough texture of his tweed jacket. The tension rises. Someone will break character soon. Lady Amelia Hawthorne's performance of grief grew increasingly strained. She reached for a small glass of sweet liqueur, the rich taste heavy on her tongue as she sipped. "I truly loved Reginald," she repeated, but her eyes kept flicking nervously toward Dr. Hart across the room. The silk of her black dress rustled softly with every uneasy shift. Dr. Julian Hart's professional concern slowly turned defensive. "The digitalis dose was exactly as I prescribed," he stated firmly. His hands unconsciously smoothed the crisp linen napkin on the table before him, a small tell in the otherwise composed figure. Poirot made a small expressive gesture with his hands. "Mes amis, these alibis you offer, they are merely scripts. But every script has its holes, its missed cues. A Hercule Poirot sees them clearly." Footsteps echoed softly in the hallway, as servants moved about their duties with discreet care. The crystal chandelier tinkled faintly overhead with the slight draught. Silk rustled as someone shifted uncomfortably in their velvet-upholstered seat. The grandfather clock chimed the hour, marking the slow unravelling of the afternoon. Ask yourself, if you were hiding guilt, how would you perform innocence? Observe how these performances grow strained. The mask slips. Did you catch it? Rehearsed lines faltered. The script was failing. Chapter 5. The Mask Slips. The mask had fallen completely during the intense confrontation in the wood-panelled library. Major Victor Lang stood trapped in the harsh spotlight of Poirot's steady gaze, and the single crimson kid glove lay accusingly on the polished mahogany table between them. The warm drawing-room air carried the scent of strong coffee and fading hothouse lilies, while the fire crackled steadily in the marble hearth, pushing back the chills from the terrace beyond the velvet curtains. "It belonged to her," Major Lang finally blurted out, pointing a now shaking finger directly at Lady Amelia. His once rock-steady military hands trembled visibly for the first time. The rough texture of his tweed jacket seemed suddenly ill-fitting under the pressure. Director method. Major Lang, the performance. He plays the loyal friend to perfection, voice booming with righteous outrage and helpful cooperation. The tell, but the helpfulness is too eager tonight, and the hands far too steady when genuine shock should have made them shake uncontrollably. The psychology. I recall the case of the false doctor who performed professional concern so brilliantly that he fooled both nurses and grieving relatives alike for weeks. He had practiced the furrowed brow and the gentle, reassuring tone for hours in front of a mirror. Yet his pulse never quickened in moments of true crisis. The body, it always betrays the mind no matter how polished the act. The truth, this man knew the poison would cleverly mimic a simple heart failure. His flawless performance was designed to hide a much larger forgery scheme. You see it now, no? The theatre begins to collapse around him. Miss Clara Beaumont broke moments later. Real tears finally flowed freely down her face as the loyal secretary mask shattered completely, and the true face of fear, regret, and long-suppressed guilt emerged at last beneath the carefully constructed role she had played so diligently. Her crisp linen blouse suddenly appeared crumpled, her small hands twisting together on the cold marble surface. The tension in the room rose like a final crescendo. Silk rustled as Lady Amelia shifted uneasily in her seat, the grandfather clock chiming ominously in the background. Dr. Hart's expression turned pale, the rich aroma of his coffee now bitter on his tongue. Gerald Hawthorne watched in stunned silence, the chill night air from the terrace seeming to seep deeper into the warm room. "You watch with Poirot, no? See how the performances strain and finally crack. If you were hiding such guilt, how would you perform innocence now?" And the careful observer will notice every small slip, the trembling hands, the dry eyes that should be wet, the rehearsed lines that no longer flow smoothly. Poirot tilted his egg-shaped head, his green eyes gleaming with satisfaction. He smoothed an imaginary wrinkle from his sleeve with precise fingers. The mask had fallen at last. Beneath it, the true face emerges. Bravo! But the performance, it was not convincing in the end. Truth needed no rehearsal. The mask had fallen. The true face emerged. Chapter 6. Behind the Curtain. Behind the curtain, the secrets spilled like forgotten props from an overturned costume trunk in the elegant library. The hidden financial papers discovered tucked inside a hollowed art book exposed a sophisticated embezzlement scheme. Key Major Victor Lang had been forging valuable artworks from Sir Reginald's respected collection, using the old man's reputation as perfect cover. Expensive perfumes still lingered faintly on the documents, mixed with the scent of cigar smoke and furniture wax. Polished mahogany tables gleamed under soft lamplight, while velvet curtains framed the cold terrace beyond. Lady Amelia's secret affair with Dr. Julian Hart was revealed through quiet, passionate letters, carefully hidden in the desk drawer. The paper felt crisp between Poirot's small hands as he read passages aloud. Gerald Hawthorne's mounting gambling debts had drawn the young man unwillingly into the conspiracy, his rough tweed jacket suddenly seeming heavier with shame. Miss Clara Beaumont had known about the blackmail, but had chosen silence out of fear, her small fingers now twisting nervously in her lap. The warm drawing-room air carried the aroma of strong continental coffee and of fading hothouse lilies. The fire crackled softly, pushing back the chill night air that seeped from the open terrace door. Crystal glasses stood empty on the sideboard, their smooth surfaces reflecting the geometric patterns of the chandelier light. Reflection on hidden motives. 292 words. Behind every curtain lies a secret. Behind every secret waits a motive. Humans hide because society rewards the successful performance, the loyal business partner, the devoted wife, the efficient and discreet secretary. Yet greed continues to whisper its promises. Love can twist quietly into obsession, and fear makes even the strongest voice tremble beneath the mask. In this particular drama, the backstage proved far uglier than the bright footlights had suggested. Forgery masked as friendship, relief disguised as grief, silence bought with threats and promises. I have witnessed similar revelations in the famous Orient Express affair, where a group of passengers performed the roles of polite strangers, while bound together by old hatreds and shared guilt. They rehearsed their alibis carefully in the narrow, swaying corridors of the train, yet one small, unguarded gesture, the steady hand lighting a cigarette at the wrong moment, betrayed every one of them. The body cannot sustain the lie when the mind is fully occupied with maintaining the performance. The universal truth remains unchanged. Hidden motives always surface eventually because guilt is a remarkably poor director. It forgets the proper lighting, misses the timing, and overlooks the small but fatal human slips that reveal everything. Watch your own masks carefully, mon ami. What role do you play when you believe no one is watching the stage? The theatre of crime always warns us. Truth will eventually pull the curtain aside with merciless hands, exposing what lies backstage. The grandfather clock chimed softly in the distance. Silk rustled as Lady Amelia lowered her head, the mask of the grieving widow finally discarded. Major Lang's military posture had crumbled, his sandalwood cologne now mixing with the bitter taste of defeat. Gerald Hawthorne stared at the floor, real tears replacing his earlier nervous laughter. Miss Clara sat silent, the weight of long-hidden knowledge lifted at last. Hercule Poirot arranged a few objects on the table symmetrically, with precise movements. His green eyes gleamed with quiet satisfaction. Behind every curtain, a secret, every secret a motive. The psychology, it is everything. The actors had been stripped of their roles. The true drama lay exposed in the harsh light. Behind every curtain, a secret, every secret a motive. Chapter 7. The Final Act. The entire cast was finally assembled in the drawing room under the full, unforgiving glare of the crystal chandelier. Velvet curtains framed the tall windows, while the fire crackled warmly in the marble hearth, pushing back the chill night air from the terrace. The rich aroma of strong coffee still lingered, mingling with faint traces of Chanel perfume, cigar smoke, and fading hothouse lilies. Polished mahogany tables gleamed, and crisp linen napkins lay forgotten on side tables. Silk rustled softly as the suspects shifted in their seats. Poirot stood before them like the director delivering his final notes on opening night. He drew himself up to his full height and made an expressive gesture with his small hands. His green eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he touched his magnificent moustache thoughtfully. Mesdames et messieurs, each of you has performed for Hercule Poirot tonight. Some have performed truthfully. Others have not. Let us review the performances, shall we? He turned first to Lady Amelia Hawthorne. You played the grieving widow with great skill. Magnifique! The handkerchief dabbing at dry eyes, the shoulders shaking at precisely the right moment. But the grief, it was merely costume. You knew of the death before the body was discovered. Your performance slipped when the crimson glove was shown. Your hands remained too steady. Lady Amelia's face paled. The silk of her black dress rustled as she clutched the arm of her chair. To Gerald Hawthorne, you performed the role of the loyal and grieving nephew. Yet loyal nephews do not quietly search the safe while their uncle's body is still warm. Greed performed as grief, but the nervous laughter gave you away. Gerald lowered his head, the rough tweed of his jacket suddenly seeming too heavy. To Miss Clara Beaumont, the part of the efficient and loyal secretary suited you well. But true secretaries do not burn important letters in the fireplace when they think no one is looking. Your precise timing was too rehearsed. Truth does not rehearse, mademoiselle. Miss Clara's small hands trembled in her lap, and the grandfather clock chimed solemnly in the background. And so we come at last to our leading performer. Poirot's green eyes locked onto Major Victor Lang. The Major sat ramrod straight, but his military composure was cracking. The scent of his sandalwood cologne filled the warm air. You gave the most convincing performance of all. The shock, the outrage, the eager cooperation, truly magnifique. But you made one small, fatal error. One moment when the mask slipped completely. Those steady hands when they should have trembled with genuine emotion. The crimson glove you deliberately used to handle the digitalis. You left it behind, hoping to confuse us all. The forgery scheme was your true motive. You poisoned Sir Reginald to protect your embezzlement. The performance is over. The curtain falls. The truth, she takes her final bow. Major Lang's face drained of colour. His hands, once so steady, now shook visibly. "This is outrageous," he began, but the words faltered. Poirot tilted his egg-shaped head. "Bravo! But the performance, it was not convincing in the end. Observe, mon ami, the body always betrays the actor. Guilt cannot sustain the role forever." The tension in the room reached its peak. Silk rustled, the fire crackled, and the crystal chandelier tinkled faintly overhead. Lady Amelia sat taller, her mask finally and permanently removed. Gerald wept genuine tears of relief. Miss Clara and Dr. Hart faced their smaller reckonings in silence. Poirot smoothed an imaginary wrinkle from his sleeve with precise fingers. "The final act has concluded. Only truth survived the curtain call." The final act concluded. Only truth survived the curtain call. Chapter 8. Curtain Call. No applause sounded for this particular performance. Only the quiet machinery of justice began to turn in the elegant drawing-room of the Hawthorne residence. The crystal chandelier still glowed softly overhead, its geometric light patterns dancing across polished mahogany tables. The fire in the marble hearth had died down to glowing embers, casting a warm but fading glow that pushed back the chill night air seeping from the terrace. Faint traces of expensive Chanel perfume, Cuban cigar smoke, and fading hothouse lilies lingered in the air, now mixed with the bitter scent of strong continental coffee, grown cold in delicate porcelain cups. Velvet curtains framed the tall windows, and the soft rustle of silk had given way to heavier silence, where Inspector Japp stepped forward with quiet authority. "Major Victor Lang, I'm arresting you for the murder of Sir Reginald Hawthorne." The words fell like a final line delivered under harsh stage lights. Two constables moved in, their footsteps echoing sharply on the parquet floor. Major Lang rose slowly, his military bearing shattered. The rough tweed of his jacket hung awkwardly on his frame. His once steady hands trembled as the handcuffs clicked into place. The scent of his sandalwood cologne seemed suddenly overpowering in the warm room. "This is a mistake," he muttered, but the protest lacked conviction. The mask had fallen completely, leaving only a tired, defeated man beneath. Lady Amelia Hawthorne stood taller than she had all evening. The black silk of her dress no longer whispered of rehearsed grief, but of quiet relief. Her eyes, previously dry in performance, now held genuine emotion. The role of the grieving widow had been stripped away, revealing a woman freed from years of elegant deception and hidden affairs. Gerald Hawthorne sat with his head in his hands. Real tears flowed freely down his pale cheeks, replacing the nervous, brittle laughter of earlier. The greed that had performed as grief was gone. In its place remained a young man confronting his own weaknesses and the heavy cost of his gambling debts. The rough texture of his tweed jacket seemed less out of place now, more honest. Miss Clara Beaumont watched in silence, her crisp linen blouse slightly crumpled. The loyal secretary mask had shattered earlier, leaving behind quiet regret and the weight of choices made in fear. She would face her own smaller reckoning for withholding information, but the blackmail's shadow had finally lifted. Dr. Julian Hart sat pale and motionless. His professional concern had turned to ash. The sweet liqueur he had sipped earlier now tasted bitter on his tongue. His involvement in the affair with Lady Amelia would bring consequences, yet the truth had freed him from the strain of performing innocence. Poirot observed them all with order and method. He adjusted his moustache with precision, his green eyes gleaming with quiet satisfaction. "The curtain call has come, mes amis. No applause for this performance, only justice." The grandfather clock chimed the hour, its solemn notes echoing through the room like a final bow. Footsteps sounded as the constables led Major Lang away. The door closed softly behind them, a gentle click that marked the end of the drama, and the hothouse lilies drooped in their silver vases, their heavy perfume fading. The cold terrace air brushed against the velvet curtains, bringing a fresh chill into the once warm drawing-room. Lady Amelia turned to Poirot, her voice steady for the first time. "Thank you, Monsieur Poirot. The performance, it is truly over." Poirot made a small expressive gesture with his small hands. The theatre of crime always ends this way. The masks are removed. The actors face the truth they tried so hard to hide. Greed performed as loyalty, love as indifference, fear as confidence. But the body, it cannot lie forever. The elegant townhouse gradually grew quiet once more. The fire embers glowed lower, the crystal chandeliers tinkling softened, and the silk rustle of evening gowns faded into memory. Servants moved discreetly through the halls, and their footsteps muffled on the parquet. No applause for the guilty, only the steady hand of justice taking its bow. The curtain call came. No applause, only justice. Chapter 9. After the show. The theatre slowly emptied as the days passed following the final curtain in the Hawthorne residence. Morning light filtered through the tall windows of the drawing-room, warming the cold marble mantelpiece and chasing away the last traces of chill night air from the terrace. The crystal chandelier hung silent now, its geometric patterns softened by daylight. Fresh hothouse lilies had been replaced in their silver vases, their sweet scent mingling with the faint aroma of furniture wax and strong continental coffee brewing in the kitchen. Polished mahogany tables gleamed once more, and velvet curtains swayed gently in the breeze, and the heavy perfume of Chanel and lingering cigar smoke had faded, leaving the elegant Art Deco rooms feeling lighter, almost peaceful. Lady Amelia Hawthorne made quiet plans for a simple retirement abroad. She moved through the house with a new steadiness, the black silk of mourning replaced by softer fabrics. The role of the grieving widow had been permanently discarded. In its place emerged a woman no longer bound by performed devotion or hidden affairs. She walked the cold terrace without rehearsal, breathing the crisp air freely for the first time in years. The mask of elegant society wife had lifted, revealing quiet strength beneath. Gerald Hawthorne turned away from his old gambling habits with visible effort. He sat in the library one afternoon, the rough texture of his tweed jacket now seeming more honest than before. Real tears had given way to determined resolve. The greed that had once performed as grief was gone. He found modest but honest employment in a small shipping firm, far from the glittering dinners and risky schemes that had nearly destroyed him. The nervous laughter had vanished. In its place came measured words and a clearer gaze. The young man who had searched the safe while his uncle lay dead now confronted his weaknesses openly. Miss Clara Beaumont began the difficult work of rebuilding her life without the long shadow of blackmail hanging over her. She packed her crisp linen blouses and small personal items with careful hands. The loyal secretary mask had shattered completely, leaving behind regret, but also relief. She would face minor consequences for her silence, yet the truth had freed her from fear. Her footsteps on the parquet floors sounded lighter as she left the townhouse for the last time, the grandfather clock chiming a gentle farewell. Dr. Julian Hart faced his own smaller reckoning. The professional concern he had performed so well dissolved into honest accountability. His involvement in the affair with Lady Amelia would bring professional scrutiny, but the poison of deception had been drawn out. He sipped hot coffee one final morning in the house, the taste no longer bitter with hidden guilt. The warm drawing room felt less like a stage and more like a place of quiet transition. Poirot walked among them like a director watching the stage being cleared after the final performance. He smoothed an imaginary wrinkle from his sleeve and tilted his egg-shaped head. In his green eyes gleamed with quiet satisfaction as he observed the transformations. The actors leave the theatre changed, none. Some lighter, some wiser, the masks are gone. Only the true faces remain. The grand townhouse returned to its former peaceful elegance. The Art Deco lines stood serene once more, untroubled by murder or deception. Servants moved discreetly, their footsteps soft on the parquet. The fire in the marble hearth crackled warmly, no longer illuminating strained performances, but simple, everyday comfort. The cold terrace air carried the faint scent of wood smoke from distant chimneys, while inside, the smell of fresh flowers and polished wood filled the rooms. You watch with Poirot, no? See how the drama transforms those who lived it. The innocent suspect wrongly cast as villain suffers, then finds redemption, though the setting itself shifts from elegant stage to crime scene, then to theatre of revelation, and finally to peaceful resolution. Even you, mon ami, have moved from passive viewer to active analyst. The psychology of it all is fascinating. How guilt forces the mask and truth removes it forever. Lady Amelia paused at the door before departing. She looked back at the drawing room where so many lies had been performed. The house feels different now, she said softly. Lighter. Poirot nodded. The theatre empties, madame, but the lessons, they remain. Greed performed as loyalty, fear as confidence, love as indifference. Yet truth always triumphs, because the body cannot sustain the performance indefinitely. The days continued. Letters arrived with news of smaller resolutions. Major Lang awaited trial. His leading role ended in disgrace, and the forgery scheme unravelled fully under police examination. The Crimson Glove, once a deadly prop, Khadijah became mere evidence filed away. The elegant Mayfair townhouse stood quiet under the London sky. Its marble facade caught the soft glow of street lamps once more, no longer a stage for tragedy but a home returning to normal life. The piano music that had once floated distantly now played only in memory. The theatre emptied. The lessons remained. Chapter 10. Poirot reviews the performance. In his comfortable London apartment, Hercule Poirot sat in his favourite armchair, sipping a cup of fragrant tisane. The steam curled gently upward in delicate spirals. A small fire crackled pleasantly in the grate, casting a warm glow across the room and chasing away the chill of the evening. The faint scent of furniture wax mingled with the rich aroma of the tisane, while polished mahogany shelves held neatly arranged books and objects placed with perfect symmetry. Outside, rain pattered softly against the windows, a gentle counterpoint to the quiet peace within. Poirot reviewed the entire performance of the Crimson Glove conspiracy with deep satisfaction, and his customary order and method. He touched his magnificent moustache thoughtfully, then smoothed an imaginary wrinkle from his sleeve. Why do people choose to perform rather than simply reveal the truth? Fear of exposure, the tight grip of greed, the complications of forbidden love, and the demands of pride. All these forces push even the most respectable individuals to don their masks. Society itself insists upon the perfect widow, the loyal business partner, and the discreet and efficient secretary. In the elegant drawing rooms of Mayfair, at private dinner parties with dry champagne and crisp linen napkins, everyone plays a role. Yet guilt, that unreliable actor, always betrays its host. The dry eye in moments of supposed grief, the strangely steady hand when shock should cause trembling, the overly rehearsed line delivered with suspicious smoothness. In this drama, the single crimson kid glove served as the dropped prop that brought the entire elaborate production crashing down around the players. The transformations had been most satisfying to observe. Lady Amelia, once performing elegant grief, now walked freely toward a quieter life abroad, her mask of the devoted wife discarded forever. Gerald Hawthorne had shed the greed that had disguised itself as nephewly affection. Honest work replaced nervous laughter and risky schemes. Miss Clara Beaumont rebuilt her days without the weight of blackmail, while Dr. Hart faced accountability without the strain of performing professional innocence. Even the grand townhouse itself had changed, from glittering stage of tragedy to peaceful home once more, its Art Deco lines serene under London skies. The psychology of revelation is both simple and profound. The mask eventually grows too heavy to bear. Truth ultimately triumphs over even the most polished performance, because the human body refuses to sustain the lie indefinitely. I am reminded strongly of the Styles case many years ago, where a seemingly devoted wife performed perfect marital affection, while poison waited patiently in the morning coffee. She had rehearsed the loving smile and the concerned touch for many weeks in front of her mirror, perfecting every gesture. Yet when the fatal cup was finally offered, her hands shook noticeably despite all her preparation. The body, it knows. It cannot maintain the act when the mind is occupied with fear and calculation. In that case, as in this one, the little details betrayed everything. The steady hand that should have trembled, the dry eyes that should have wept. These parallels show the eternal truth of human nature. We are all actors upon the stage of life, but the great theatre of existence permits only one truthful ending. The little grey cells have spoken clearly once again. Every human being wears masks demanded by society, by love, by greed, or by fear. But guilt manifests physically in ways that cannot be fully controlled, no matter how many hours are spent rehearsing before the mirror. The dry handkerchief, the unwavering voice, the helpfulness that arrives too quickly. These are the tells that Poirot watches for. People perform because revealing the true face feels dangerous. It exposes affairs, forgeries, blackmail, and hidden resentments that thread through even the most refined circles. Yet the performance always falters eventually. The body betrays what the trained voice tries to deny. Truth does not rehearse, it simply is. Poirot arranged a few objects on the small table beside him with precise movements, creating perfect symmetry. His green eyes gleamed with quiet satisfaction as he reflected on the listeners who had followed the drama from the first scene to the final curtain. You have watched carefully, mon ami. You have learned to spot the slipped mask, the rehearsed line, the tremor that reveals more than any spoken word. The psychology, it is everything. Ask yourself in your own life, what role do you play when you believe no one is watching? Do you perform confidence while feeling fear? Loyalty while hiding resentment? The theatre of crime teaches us valuable lessons about human nature. The rain continued its soft patter against the windows. The fire crackled warmly, and the tisane cooled slowly in its cup. Outside, London carried on with its own performances under the street lamps, but here in this quiet apartment, truth had taken its bow. Until the next theatre of crime, mes amis, Poirot watches always.